LAUTECH and
on the existing protocol, may I have the privilege to ask the second speaker to stand up as I read his citation. The second speaker for this morning, Professor Olajide Abraham Ajao, the former Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, is an alumnus of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and University of Tromsø, Norway. He joined the services of LAUTECH in 1995 as a graduate assistant and rose through the rank and file over the years to the position of a professor in year 2012. Professor Ajao has received different awards both as a student and as a faculty member. Among these are Best Student Paper at IIFET Biennial Conference, University of Portsmouth, UK, sponsored by USAID. 2, also a receiver of the Norwegian Scholarship Award for studies in MSc in International Fisheries Management and Government. 3, it's also a receiver of various awards and grants, which I also mentioned. Research grant in 2006 by African Economic Research Consortium, AERC, Nairobi, Kenya. 2, research on value grant in the years 2014 and 2015 by the International Food Policy Research Institute, Washington, D.C. 3, he also received the grants from TED Fund, Institutional Research Grant in 2016. Professor Ajao was the National Consultant to Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, to review and analyze fisheries and aquaculture policy to food security and nutrition in Nigeria in 2017. Professor Ajao was also engaged as the agricultural economist on the evaluation team of the Nigeria Agricultural Policy project by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, in 2018 and 2020. As an academic of repute, he had the opportunity to work with other universities outside the country, precisely University of Swaziland in Swaziland and also in Swaziland. Professor Ajao is also a publisher, a teacher, and also his credit 6 technical reports of international repute and has published over 44 journals, articles in reputable journals across the world. His experience at conferences attendance, he has attended land conferences all over the world and different workshops and training, both within and outside the country. Presently is a member of many professional bodies, among which are Nigerian Association of Agricultural Economics, NAAE, Agricultural Economic Society, UK, American Economic Association, USA, International Institute of Fishery, Economics and Trade, IIFET, and so on and so forth. Professor Ajao is happily married with a son and is the one that will be speaking to us this morning. So please join me as we welcome a gentleman to the call, a teacher, a team player, and a mentor, Professor O.A. Ajao, to lead us in the second note address titled Engaging in Collaborative Research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll start on a lighter mode. This morning, I met with the Dean PGSCHOOL, Professor Ojurombe, and I told him, you have been a beneficiary of collaborative research over the years. And even my senior in school, Professor Jekainfa, benefited hugely from collaborative research. That why don't you guys take up these challenges, and why me? Collaborative research. I'm going to premise this presentation on 5 key areas. Though not limited to these 5 areas, I'll start by providing a definition of collaborative research. Why do we engage in a collaborative research? What are the benefits of engaging in a collaborative research? I can sit down in the corner of my office or in my laboratory and do my research all alone. Why do I have to put in so much effort to reach out to some other scientists to join me in solving a particular problem? I will speak on various types of collaborative research that we have, the nexus between communications and collaborative research, and finally, conflict of interest and resolution if conflict arises in collaborative research. What is collaborative research? I'll be using the word collaboration as related to research interchangeably with collaborative research. So first of all, define the term collaboration, which implies that a team of individual researchers is working toward achieving a common goal. Working towards achieving a common goal. We have to know the keywords there. Achieving a common goal. Then the term collaboration in academic research is usually thought to mean an equal partnership between 2 academic faculty members who are pursuing mutually interesting and beneficial research. These are 2 definitions of collaboration as related to a research. But I'll still go ahead and give us another 2 definitions of a collaborative research, and we'll now look at the link between these 2 words. Collaborative research involving coordination between the researchers, coordination between the researchers, institutions, organizations, and or communities. Lastly, collaborative research can be defined as the research that is conducted by more than one researcher or a research team, either within their institution or with colleagues in other institutions towards a common goal. If we take time to look at these 4 definitions, either as collaboration, not in the dictionary meaning of the word collaboration, and collaborative research, we could see that there is one thing that is common to them. That's a common goal. They all have a shared concern. They all have a shared concern. They want to solve an existing problem by working together, bringing in different expertise from different fields or within the same field. Why do we engage in a collaborative research? What are the benefits for us to go into a collaboration or a collaborative research? The first one is some funding agencies favor interdisciplinary research teams. For many of us that are familiar with applying for one grant or the other, you could see that they will so much structure their requirements in such a way that it will favor bringing in experts from various fields. Bringing in experts from various fields. And I'll give us an example. This is a pandemic era. The scientists slept day and night in the laboratory, came up with vaccine. These are, for pure scientists. But there's a social problem to this vaccination, and that is vaccine hesitance. So definitely, if a research grant comes out now, it should not just look at the efficacy of this vaccine, but they want to look at why do people, hesitating in taking vaccines. So this will definitely bring in scientists from pure science to social science, the sociologists, the psychologists, and so on and so forth. So they structure their the requirement for the proposal or call for grant in such a way that there is no way you can run away from bringing in more than 2-3 individuals as a team. Share resources and responsibilities. Share resources and responsibilities. You have an opportunity of sharing your resources and share responsibilities as well. No one is is an island of knowledge. You want to tap in from the knowledge from your colleagues, from other scientists within your faculty, within your department, within your institution, or outside your institution. And there are times it could even be outside your country or your state. More credibility and validity to the project. It gives more credibility to the project, because if you bring in scientists of repute from different fields and they came up with a finding, definitely the findings will be more credible and reliable than an individual that works on a particular subject. Then it provides you an opportunity of learning from other disciplines. It provides you an opportunity of learning from other disciplines. I'm an agricultural economist, and I know some economists or ag economists in my faculty that have worked with people in food science. For example, Dr. Adepoju worked with Professor Akinwande on a project in food science, orange flesh potato. So I'm very sure if you ask Adepoju some of her experiences, she will tell you a lot that she learned from food scientists rather than just being a pure economist. What are the benefits in addition to all this? In addition to the reason why we collaborate as a researcher, what are the benefits that will stand or that you cannot ignore as a researcher? The first one is higher impact of publication. The World Impact Factor trends in LAUTECH, I think about 5 or 6 years ago. That's when people were very conscious of the World Impact Factor. And it is evidence-based that it has a direct correlation between the number of authors and the impact factor. There's a guy or a team that work on team size matters, collaboration and scientific impact since 1900. This paper was published in 2015. And what they did was to look at over 28 million papers from humanities, natural, medical, and social sciences that were published between 1900 and 2011. And they found out that there is a positive correlation between the collaborative papers and a high level of citation. So this is one of the huge benefits of a collaborative research. This is one of the huge benefits of a collaborative research. 2, it encourages creativity. It encourages creativity. And it has some other future benefits too. Because if you work with a team of researchers today, if an opportunity comes out tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now, they will surely remember you. And let me share my personal experience. I sometimes worked with a woman outside the country, and I saw a call for grant proposal. I wrote my proposal, and I sent a draft of that proposal to her, just to assist me in reviewing that proposal, her comment, and in order to improve the quality of the proposal so that I can stand a chance of getting that grant. After reviewing, she now asked me, have you secured a grant for this work? I said no. Okay, he said, okay, but I have a small grant. It can only assist you in taking the data for this study. And I asked her how much. She said, maximum $15,000. I said, okay, this will be good enough for me. I won't pursue any other grant. Let me just have that and keep that in my pocket. So the future benefit of collaborating with other researchers, in a collaborative research is huge and cannot be ignored. It increases the ethical conduct, maintaining honesty, integrity, justice, transparency, and confidentiality. Like Professor Bello said in his presentation, there are times if you're working alone, you may be tempted to circumvent or ignore some of these ethics of research. But when you know there's someone watching your back, you're not the only one working on this study, a team of 4 or a team of 5, you will not want to violate the ethics of research. So it increases the ethical conduct, maintaining the honesty, and even your personal integrity. Attract funding. If you generate output that have an impact on policy, that have an impact on practice or industry or the general public, it can increase your chances of being funded. Just like I said a little while ago, most donor agency favors research that are multidisciplinary. They want a different approach to solving problems, not just a narrow approach to solving a problem. So, in addition, some funding bodies now give priority to international and industry or academia. The era of researchers working alone is going gradually. People are now encouraging, or donor agencies are now encouraging, collaboration between the researchers and the industry, collaboration between researchers, departments, and the agencies, not just between the researchers alone. Then it can as well expand your network. Working collaboratively can help you meet potential future employers, mentors, and collaborators. If you keep working with different people in and outside your enclave, you stand a chance of increasing or expanding your network. Then collaborations are opportunities to learn a new skills, make new friends, gain a new perspective, join stimulating discussions, and with experts in your field or complementary field. Aside all these benefits, most of the time, collaborative research do generate huge volume of data. Huge volume of data. And this data will require specialists in multiple disciplines to have an effective data analysis, and collaboration are easier to develop and sustain than they were before because of emergence of various technologies. Types of collaborative research. I will classify collaborative research into 2 different classes. The first one is academic institutions. We're all familiar with this. It could be among the faculty staff and administrators within the institutions. It could be within and between departments within the institutions. It could be between the faculty members and their students, and as well as among students. Among students is not that common because of the level of seriousness of our students. And this is a challenge to some of us that are postgraduate students. This is a collaborative era. We should learn to collaborate with some of our colleagues. And the other is between academic institutions. There could be collaboration between academic institutions, probably LAUTECH and a college of agri elsewhere, or a faculty of sciences with a department, probably solid minerals at the federal ministry. You can collaborate with them. Between academic institutions, government agencies, and departments. Between academic institutions and private industries. It could be domestic or international as well. Now I've provided a little information about collaborative research. Like we all know, collaborative research involves setting up a team of researchers. But someone must lead that team. collaborative research and principal investigator. The fellow that will lead the team is what we refer to as the principal investigator or a team leader. What are the responsibilities of a team leader? I'll just give us a few of those responsibilities. Is the one in charge of all the work done on the project. He will be the one to give directive and in charge of the entire work. And ultimately, he will be responsible and accountable for all the aspects of the project. In addition to this, he has to keep the group motivated. You cannot say along the line as you go on and on that you will not encounter challenges. It is the responsibility of the team lead or the principal investigator to make sure that the teams are motivated or the group are motivated. It will be responsible for how the data will be collected, stored, and shared. It will also be the one if there's any changes in the research design or how the changes in the research design will be made. Who will be responsible for drafting the publication, keeping the group on task, the role each partner in the collaboration will play. He has that responsibility of sharing the responsibility for each member of the team. Collaborative research or collaborative relationship. In any relationship or in any assignment or in any task, it is inherent in human being that we have to be successful. And for us to succeed, all hands must be on deck. So for a successful collaboration, it requires certain elements as well for any collaborative research to be successful. Number one, members of the team must work together towards a common goal that has been agreed by all parties. That has been agreed by all parties. Each member is considered an important part of the team, and they must understand their role and the expectation from their activities. The interactions are based on trust, respect, good communication, and the ability to compromise. There are times you have challenges. There are times the challenges could be so overwhelming. But as a member of the team, or as the team lead, or as the principal investigator, you have to make sure that every member of the team work towards achieving a common goal. And like any other agreement, there are basic details that need to be considered and agreed upon prior to the start of work to make the project beneficial for all parties involved in the collaboration. You must first of all know what are the common goals. What are the common goals? What is to be exchanged through the collaboration? What is to be exchanged through the collaboration? Am I to come over and use your laboratory? Are you the one to be responsible for collection of the data? Who will be responsible for the data analysis? Who will be responsible for writing the first part of the report? Who will be responsible for vetting or review the draft of that report? All this must be clearly stated in the agreement prior to the commencement of the collaborative research. How will any fund available be shared and spent? We all know that money is the root of all evil. That is where we have to be very careful and make sure that an agreement was reached on how the fund available will be shared and spent. How is responsibility, that is who does what, and the credit in the example is in terms of the publication. There could be a challenge is who will be the lead author when you're writing the, if you have the authority of the funder of that project to write or to publish out of the report, who will be the lead author, who will be the second author, who will be the third author. What are the timelines for each of the goals? These have to be clearly stated. Otherwise, the donor agency or whoever that commissioned that research will be on your neck to submit your report. And that is why the timeline is very, just like Professor Bello mentioned in his presentation. Timeline is very critical and it has to be adhered to. If they tell you that this draft or this assignment must be submitted at the close of business on so day, it has to be submitted on or before the close of business. Communication and collaborative research. What is the nexus between communication and collaborative research? We all know the role of communication. Communication is very important. Even if you are working on something and you are yet to submit, let your colleagues that you are working with know that I'm working on it and this is where I am. Communication amongst the team member is a critical factor in a successful collaboration. You have to make sure that regularly you're keeping in touch with other members of the team. Communicate often and early throughout the project. You have to make sure that you keep communicating regularly with the members of the team. Establish a format communication structure for reporting on the progress, discussing problems or challenges. However, there are times that we may have or we may run into a problems or challenges in completing our own part of the task. You have to make sure that you get your team lead and other members informed early enough. Otherwise, you destabilize the mood of the entire team. What are the roles and responsibilities of members in a collaborative research team? There must be a clear understanding and agreement on the roles and responsibilities of each member. This should include a clear understanding of the leadership, the team members. What are the responsibilities of the leader? If you are the leader, if you are the one leading the team, what are your responsibilities? There should be a clear understanding by all collaborators as to who is ultimately responsible for leading the project and what are the powers vested on this individual or individuals if there are co-leaders. I sometimes worked with, I don't want to use the word naughty, but that team lead, the team leader was a very naughty person. He will stay on your neck and he will threaten you that, remember, I'm the one that will sign your claim at the end of the month. As you are submitting your brief, he will keep taking note of the time of submission. Keep taking note of the time of submission. So, for the leadership, you have to know clearly what are the responsibilities of the leadership. The team members, similarly, there should be clearly defined roles, expectation for each team member. The specific roles will depend on the scope of the project as well as the expertise on the work. I was an ag economist on a team. My responsibility is to make sure that the data were collected, the integrity of the data, analysis of data, and writing a report of that section that has to do with agri. The evaluation specialist has his own responsibility, writing his own report on the impact that that particular intervention had on the beneficiaries. That is not my problem. It is his responsibility. So it has to be clearly stated at the beginning of the collaborative research what are the roles and your responsibility as a team lead or as the member of the team. Authorship, dispute, or plan. No matter how much you earn for that consultancy to produce a technical report, you will be interested in publishing from that work. And that could lead to a dispute between you and other members of the team. So because of that, you have to discuss issues relating to publications arising from the collaborative research in advance and document the agreement. so that there won't be dispute between you and other members on the authorship. You have the right to publish, including the thesis or the publication. This has to be clearly stated with whoever that commissioned that research. Who writes what has to be clearly known. Who makes presentation of the result, either at the conference or when you are presenting the result, or when you are presenting the report, has to be clearly stated. If it's a team of 5, is it the team lead that will introduce and step aside for 1 or 2 other members to make the presentation of that report? It has to be clearly stated. Then the order of the authorship, if eventually you have to publish from that report. Then acknowledgement of those who are not authors but have contributed to the research. You may have a backup staff, probably from the donor agent that supports you but is not part of the research team. You have to acknowledge such an individual. Data management, sharing, and ownership. Like I said earlier on, collaborative research most of the time comes up with very huge data. So you have to discuss and reach an agreement in advance on how the data will be collected and managed to ensure their integrity. The integrity of data is very important and it's key to the findings from any research. So if your data lost its integrity, you can be sure that whatever the findings of that research will be questionable and be biased. How the data is collected and managed to ensure their integrity. What is the ownership of the data? Who owns the data? Will the data be released to you after the work? Can you claim the ownership of that data or whoever that commissioned the work? When and how is data shared among the team members? The data security plans. Data security plan. There are times we obtain information from individuals that has to do with their, private lives. You have to ensure that that data that you got from them is adequately secured. Electronic data backup, software used to record and manage the data. Conflict of interest and resolution. There is conflict of interest. There's hardly a way that you want to consult for a donor agent like FAO, USAID, the World Bank, and so on and so forth, without you filling a form that has to do with the conflict of interest. And I'll give us an example. We have a consultant in Lagos, Alpha Beta, collecting taxes for Lagos State. Alpha Beta. It will be a conflict of interest for me to sit or be part of the team that involved in a research that has to do with taxes all over the country. That will lead to a conflict of interest. So, conflict of interest in research occur when researcher is in a position to influence research and their extramural activities are such that they or their family may receive a financial benefit or improper advantage from that research. You can't run away from it. You have to fill that form of conflict of interest. This is an example of a conflict of interest. It has your name, the title, the organization you're working for, your position in that collaborative research team. And there's a question there. I have real or potential conflict of interest to disclose. It's a very key part in any research, not just collaborative research, because the issue of conflict of interest is very key. And if you answer yes to above, then you have to disclose those facts. You have to disclose those facts. Conflict of interest. The research team members should clearly disclose any potential conflicts of interest that may have or may have perceived as having influence on the integrity of the research and data generated. You have to disclose ahead of time. And what are the potential causes or sources of this conflict of interest? It could be financial, it could be professional, it could be personal, or it could be prejudicial. Conflict resolution. You have a team of 2, 3, or 4 members in a collaborative research team. It's natural. Conflicts could arise. Probably you have a young member in the team and there's a generational differences. There could be cultural differences. An Hausa man, a Yoruba man, an Igbo man, an American or an European that see things differently. So you have potential sources of collaborations. So there is a possibility of a conflict among team members due to the following: different styles and personalities of the individuals involved. It could arise due to different styles and personalities of the individuals involved, different approaches by different specialties in multidisciplinary research projects. And I'll give us an example. If in a team you have an economist and you have a sociologist, an issue of child labor comes in, and let's include the third person, civil organizations, a member of civil organization in your research team. The way an economist will capture a child labor is quite different from the way a sociologist will capture or define a child labor. The way the civil society member will look at child labor is quite, so this could cause a conflict in the definition of a child labor. So different approaches by different specialties in multidisciplinary research projects. Inadequate communication could lead to conflict among members of the team. Pure misunderstanding, this is natural. You can work for 6 months and have misunderstanding. Solution: whenever conflict arises, you talk about it and get a resolution when it first arises and as quickly as possible. The use of software applications in collaborative research. Technology is advancing. Some of us engaging in collaborative research now are better placed than our colleagues that engaged in collaborative research 20, 25 years ago, where you have to write, take it to the post office and send by or courier or whatever. But nowadays, there are a whole lot of applications due to the emergence of technology or electronics. There's a calendar sharing tools that you don't have to make a phone call, fix a date for the meeting on the calendar, and that invite will go around to all the members in your team. File sharing tools. We have an app, a software where you can share files among yourself, instant messaging, document synchronization, cloud storage, video conferencing, online whiteboard. If you have to go into discussion, you write yours, I write mine, you wipe from different parts of the country or different parts of the world. Calendar sharing tool. The shared calendar facilitates the organizations of appointments and meetings without the need to consult all participants. You don't have to talk to them than fix a meeting. Fix it, the invite goes round. File sharing tools allow you to transfer files, distribute them, and give access to them. Share files can be various kinds: software, books, videos, documents, etc. These tools avoid transferring everything via email and saturating inboxes with every file. Even if you want to send some of them through emails, it could be so heavy that the email will not be able to accommodate it. So you have a file sharing tools that you can share, and you give a username and password to your colleagues on the team. Instant messaging allows you to exchange text messages and online files in real time via a computer. The dialogue is interactive, and most applications allow the exchange of video files, voice communications, and video conferences. Thank God for pandemic. And pandemic, the COVID-19 opened our eyes to instant messaging, the Zoom, and so on and so forth. Document synchronization. Document synchronization aims at matching two documents. This means that any modification, addition, deletion of a document in the directory will also be effective in the second directory. This way, employees have the latest version and the information remains the same everywhere. The two documents remain exactly identical. So you have an opportunity of synchronizing various forms of document, or various versions of document, and they remain exactly identical. Cloud storage. Storage can be done within the organization, but also in the cloud. Cloud storage exploits the power of the server information storage system, which lives in the cloud. The data is stored remotely via telecommunication network. And the last one is video conferencing, which I'm very sure we are all familiar with. Whiteboard. The era of the conventional board is fast going, and in the collaborative research, you make use of the whiteboard. It's an online whiteboard which is literally replacing the classic whiteboard. So the collaborators can take turns communicating visual information via text, drawings, graphics on this whiteboard, then ruled with an actual dry eraser. My final thoughts. The benefits of collaboration in research are huge, and it's worth all the effort. If we look back at all the benefits that I mentioned earlier on, and the sources of collaboration depends on trust, credibility of the team member. Choosing collaborator must be based not only on scientific consideration, and that's why we say it depends on trust and credibility of the member. LAUTECH should focus more on collaboration between researchers who offer different and complementary perspective, knowledge, experience, and skills that can result in innovative approaches to solving problems. Linkages. We have Office of Linkage. Research linkages. Even though many of us, like I mentioned, my dean, Professor Jurongbe, has a lot of networks outside. Professor Agbaje has a lot of network outside. Professor Naomi and Madam sitting down here has a lot of network, but this is on individual basis. It is time we have a repository of all these contacts, so that if our graduate students or colleagues need a help, need someone to talk to about their research, need someone to collaborate with, they can go to the Office of Research Linkages and get the required contact. Finally, I want to thank the Dean Postgraduate School and the members of the board for the opportunity given to me to share my thoughts on collaborative research. Thank you, and God bless.